Hey everybody, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Oahspe. Before I begin, and I'll tell you what I'm reading next, please make sure you hit that like button. Please sure you hit subscribe and share if it's in with your heart to do so. Again, not all these works that I do will resonate. Also, for new subscribers and people that are listening, all fake, they drop. I mispronounce a lot of words. I'm dyslexic. So just be mindful and, because this book twists my tongue a lot with a lot of these crazy names. It happens. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody's religion or path. But yeah, there are going to be things that I do not pronounce so correctly. So don't mind me. We're going to do the first book of the First Lords. Then, if I can get through that without too much trouble, the Synopsis of 16 Cycles. They're both pretty on the shorter end of the spectrum, unlike the Book of Wars that was like up to chapter 50, which I had to break up. Now, for all those new who are watching, if you go to my playlist, I have Oahspe there and all the ones that I have read. This book in particular, I jump around to each section. I don't know why, it's what Spirit wants me to do. And I'm sorry about yesterday. A lot of people are like, where were you yesterday? I had a quantum healing session with High Vibes Up. My favorite Jason appears on their show every Wednesday. And I had a block that I couldn't undo myself. And now I understand why I had the block, what's going on in my closet with the portal. And I might do a whole episode on it. I did record. They allowed me to record. I can't post it, and I won't. But I'm gonna go through the video again and make sure that my notes are up to par with the information. This soul that that inhabits this body is fucking old. So when I say I'm done with their density, like I literally am. I have lived over 13,600 and something lives. But that's just in this vehicle that my soul encompasses. Wait, but there's more. Because I live a simultaneous life in another body, my soul is split. So my soul is inhabiting another being that I'm semi-connected to, and now I'm fully connected to because that was the healing I needed because I was blocked. Now my soul is full. It's not there yet. It's a process. It takes a couple of weeks. But I now will encompass both this self that I'm talking to you with right now and the other self on the opposite end of the universe, living a completely different life. I don't even know if it's of this dimension, but I have another self. And in combined, I've lived 27,686 years. So when I'm saying I'm really freaking done with this shit, I really am done with this shit. I'm very old. Very, very old. And I'm 3 types of star seeds. 3. Not just the one I thought I was. I got more detail yesterday, and oh boy, I make a lot of sense. I make a lot of sense. Oh, right now they're not taking appointments, but if anybody is interested in that, I will give you the private message me or email me, and I can keep you guys on notice when they're taking appointments again. It's incredible, to say the least. And I really needed that because I didn't have a lot of things make sense. And now that they make sense, I know how to move forward. So the first book of the First Lords, such a heavy book, being contemporary with the book of Sethians, I said that right, yep, son of Jehovah, that is to say, as Sethians was God of heaven. So in the same period of time, his lords had dominion on the earth. And this is their book. Even as the preceding one was God's book. Again, who's God? Chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens of the earth. And the Lord made man upright. And man was naked and not ashamed. Neither knew man the sin of incest, but he dwelt as the beasts of the field. And the Lord brought the angels of heaven to man. By his side took they on forms like unto man, having all the organs and attributes of mortals, for it was the time of the earth for such things to be. And it came to pass that a new race was born on the earth, and this were called Ihins, because they were begotten of both heaven and earth. Hence it became a saying, the earth conceived of the Lord. And the name of the first race was Asu, Adam, because they were of the earth only. And the name of the second race was Ihin, Abel, because they were capable of being taught spiritual things. Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the first conundrum of the day. Abel was spiritual. And the Lord said, of all that lived on the face of the earth, or in the waters thereof, or in the air above, the breath of air, the breath of life, that breathes the breath of life, man only had a delivered unto knowledge of his creator. And the Lord spake unto Ihin through his angels, spake he to them, saying, go hide thy nakedness, for thy it is the commandment of God. Which one? And the Ihins were afraid, and they clothed themselves, and were no longer naked before the Lord. And the Lord commanded the angels to give up their forms, and to be no more seen as mortals. And it was done. And the Lord said unto them, because ye brought forth life, which is in flesh and blood, ye shall minister unto man for 6 generations on the face of the earth. And it was so. And that man may continue to walk upright, ye shall teach him the law of incest, For man of himself cannot obtain to know this. Neither shall he permit the Ahins to dwell with Asu, Adam, lest his seed go down in darkness. And man was thus inspired of the Lord, and he walked upright and prospered on the earth. But after a season, man became conceited in his own judgment, and he disobeyed the commandments of God. And he strayed out of the garden of paradise and began to dwell with the Ensuans, Adams. And there was born into the world a new race called Druk, Cain. And they had not the light of the Father in them, neither could they be inspired with shame, nor of heavenly things. And the Ahins were grateful to the Lord, and they gave sacrifice and burnt offerings. Guys, this is like everything Jason covered in the last 15 hours. Just saying. And they said unto the Druks, Go ye and sacrifice unto the Lord, and he will prosper you. But the Druks understood not, and they fell upon the Lord's chosen and slew them right and left, taking their possessions. And the Lord said unto the Druks, Because ye have slain your brethren, ye shall depart out of the place of God, and that ye may be known to the ends of the earth, I put my mark upon you. And the mark of the Lord put upon the Druks was the shadow of blood, which being interpreted as war. And the Lord God said, By this sign shall the tribes of Druk and their descendants be known unto the earth, unto the end of the world. And women, being more helpless than men, cried out with fear, saying, O Lord, how shall I bring forth unto thee, and not unto the sons of death? And the Lord said, Because thou hast brought forth in pain, and yet called on my name, behold, I will be unable to unto thee as a shield and protector, for I will also put a mark upon the Ahins, my chosen, so thou shalt know them when they come unto thee. And the Lord commanded the male Ahins, old and young, to be circumcised, that women might not be deceived by the Druks. And the Ahins circumcised one another, old and young, for it was a testimony of the Lord unto women, that seed of their seed was born to everlasting life. Oh gosh, if anybody has watched yesterday's episode with Jason. I mean, and granted, this is from the Sethians, so this is not, but it's interesting. Very interesting. Oh man, I should send him that. Hang on. I'm sorry, I cannot get over this. And I'm only laughing at the fact that Jason said the opposite yesterday, but he preached the book today. And the Druks Cain went away into the wilderness and dwelt with the Assuans and with one another. God said, A boundary line will I make betwixt the tribes of Druks and the Ahins, and this is the line that I, Lord God, made betwixt them. The Ahins shall labor and clothe themselves, and I abide with them. But the Druks shall wander in the wilderness, neither laboring nor clothing themselves. And it was so. The time of the habitation of Asu was 8,000 years, and they survived 2,000 years after the time of the birth of the Ahins. which is to say, Asu dwelt on the earth 6,000 years, and they conceived of the chosen of God, and after they survived yet 2,000 years. And Asu, Adam, disappeared off the face of the earth. And they remained on earth with the sacred people, the Ihins, and the carnivorous people, the Drooks. The Ihins were white and yellow, but the Drooks were brown and black. The Ihins were small and slender, but the Drooks were tall and stout. Now because the Drooks had not previously obeyed the Lord, but went and dwelled with the Asuians, there was a half-breed race on earth called Yak, signifying ground people, and they burrowed in the ground like beasts of the forest. And the Yaks did not walk wholly upright, but also went on all fours. I have my ideas on this. God said, because the Yaks cannot be taught the crime of incest, behold, they shall not dwell forever on the earth. So also shall it be with the Drooks, save wherein they cohabit with the Ihins, whose seed is born unto everlasting life. But with the Drooks and their heirs that spring from the Yaks, there shall be an end, both in this world and the next. And the arms of the Yaks were long, and their backs were stooped and curved. And the Lord said, because they are the fruit of incest and not capable of speech, nor of eternal life in heaven, the Ihins shall make servants of them. And that they may not tempt my chosen to bring forth fruit unto destruction. They shall be neutralized in my sight. And the angels of God taught the Ihins to make eunuchs of the Yaks, of the males and females, made the Ihins eunuchs of the Yaks, and took them for servants. And the Lord said, the Yaks shall serve the Ihins, and build and sow and reap for them. And it was so. The Ihins were disposed to live alone, but the Lord called them together, saying, come and dwell together in cities. For it is meet that ye live after the manner of the kingdom in heaven. Build ye therefore unto the Lord your God, and my angel shall dwell with you, teaching you to sing and dance for the glory of your Creator. And man built unto the Lord and established worship on the earth after the manner of heaven. Now it came to pass that the Drooks came to witness the rites and ceremonies of the chosen, but they took no part therein, neither comprehended they the meaning thereof. And God said unto the Ihins, that ye may teach some of them of the Lord your God, build ye within the house of worship an image of me, in likeness of man, build ye it. And I will manifest unto as many as are capable of everlasting life. And the Ihins, men and women, with their servants, built images of stone and clay and wood unto the Lord, and stood them by the altars of sacrifice. See? Not the God we think it is. And in the time of worship, the angels of the Lord came and possessed the idols and spake therefrom, with the audible voices spake from mortals. And the Drooks inquired of the Ihins as to the cause thereof, and the Ihins said, behold, there is a God in heaven, more suitable than the air of heaven. He was that brought us forth out of darkness. He speaketh in idle, that ye may know he abideth with his people. And the Drooks said, what saith he? The Ihins answered, saying, that whoever so hath obtained to remember God is in the way of everlasting life. The Drooks inquired, saying, how shall a man live forever? Behold, ye that believe also die. The Ihins answered, saying, as the voice of the Lord is unseen but potent, so is there a spirit in man unseen and potent, which shall never die, but ascend in heaven to habitations prepared by the Lord. I agree with this statement wholeheartedly. And many of the Droogs pondered on these things, and their thoughts quickened their souls within them, so that they brought forth their heirs unto eternal salvation. And the Lord said unto the Ihins, because ye have done a good thing, go ye abroad by the roadsides and in other places, and build images upon me and mine, and my angels shall bestow gifts and signs and miracles. And the Ihins covered the roadways of the earth over the idols of stone, wood, and clay. And the angels of heaven descended to the idols and established there about heavenly kingdoms. And when man came hither and called on the name of the Lord, it was as a password for the angels, and they wrought miracles and otherwise gave evidence unto man of the unseen. And God gave commandments unto man, that the earth might be a place of rejoicing forever. And these are the commandments of the Lord God, as given in the day. Thou shalt strive to remember the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Thou shalt not kill man, nor beast, nor bird, nor creeping thing, for they are all the Lord's. Thou shalt build walls around about thy cities, that beasts and serpents may not enter and do thee harm. And if thy habitation be in the wilderness, thou shalt build mounds of wood and earth to sleep on at night. The serpents and beasts may not molest thee. The Ihins inquired of the Lord, saying, if we build walls around about other cities, how shall we get in and out? How shall we gather our harvest of fruit and nuts and seeds of the field? How shall we ascend on the mounds which we build in the wilderness? The Lord said, behold, my angel shall teach you to build ladders and how to use them. And when ye go into the city at night, ye shall take the ladders in after you. And when ye come out in the morning, ye shall let the ladders down again. And God's angels taught the chosen these things, and man provided the cities with ladders. And he provided the mounds with ladders also, according to the commandment of God, were these things done. And the Ihins prospered and spread abroad over the face of the earth. Hundreds of thousands of cities and mounds build they, and they rejoice in the glory of all created things. Neither killed they man, nor beast, nor fish, nor bird, nor creeping thing that breathed the breath of life. And God saw that man was good and grateful in all things. And God called unto the angels of heaven, saying, why are the Ihins good? For as yet they are ignorant. And the angels answered, saying, because thou saidst unto us, go ye as guardian angels, and inspire man to live without evil. Even so have we administered unto the Ihins, guarding and inspiring them night and day. God said, why then the Ihins have no honor, except they learn of themselves to be good. They will be void of wisdom in heaven. For this reason ye shall withdraw a little, that man be tried as to his self-commandment. And the angels withdrew a while from the Ihins, and now it came to pass that they had stored in their cities and on their mounds ample provisions of food and raiment for the winter. But the Droogs followed not the example of the Ihins, for the Droogs stored up nothing. And when the angels departed a little way, evil spirits came to the Droogs and said unto them, behold, it is winter, and ye are hungry. Go ye over the ladders and possess the stores of the Ihins. And the Droogs plundered the Ihins, and evil spirits set upon the Ihins also. And many of them were inspired to defend their stores. And war ensued, and it spread around about the whole earth. And the Ihins besought the Lord as to why God suffered evil to come upon his chosen. And the Lord said, because ye depended upon me for all things. Ye develop not yourselves. Hi, guys. Hi. What the? And the Lord said, because ye depended upon me. for all things. Ye developed not yourselves. Henceforth shall man learn to face evil on his own account, otherwise he could not attain to the Godhead in heaven. Mic drop. Whoop. I've been saying it all along. Here it is in a book. My. That was a little nugget I also sent Jason. Oh, spirit. Two entities has thy creator given thee, that which is flesh and that which is spirit. And the flesh shall desire earthly things, but the spirit shall desire heavenly things. Behold, when the droogs came upon thee for thy stores, thy flesh cried out war, and thy people fell. Again have I come to thee to raise thee up, to make thee understand the spirit within. It is that and not the flesh which shall learn to triumph. The Ihin said, our people are scattered and gone, and they not mingle with the droogs, and thus go out in darkness. The Lord said, behold, there were droogs who had learned a little from the images. Now because thy people are scattered and gone, thou shalt go amongst the droogs and teach the law of incest and the name of God, and they shall also begin to hide their nakedness. So the Lord inspired other people besides the Ihins to make and wear clothes, and thus wore them. And again, the Lord brought the Ihins together in lodges and cities. And he said unto them, henceforth ye shall live upon the earth as an example of righteousness. And your brethren who had mingled with the tribes of darkness shall no longer molest you, but be your defenders and protectors. And there began to be a new tribe on the earth, and they were called Ihuans, because they were half-breeds betwixt the droogs and Ihins. The Ihins were red like copper, and they were taller and stronger than any other people in all the world. And the Lord commanded the Ihins, saying, protect ye the Ihins, the little people, white and yellow, call them the sacred people, for ye are of them, and ye are also of the Lord your God. And it was so. About this time, man began to use his lips and tongue in enunciating words, prior to which he spoke in the thorax. And the Lord spake unto the Ihins, saying, that the labor of the Lord thy God may be remembered on the earth. Go provide me a stone, and I will engrave it with my own hand, and it shall be called Simeon, because it shall be a testimony unto all nations and peoples on the earth of the first written language in the world. And the Ihins prepared a stone and behewed it flat and then polished it smooth. And the Lord came down in the night and engraved it. And the Lord explained it through his angels, taught he the Ihins the meaning of the characters and engraving thereon. The Lord said, go into all the cities and all the countries of the world, and provide ye copies like unto the tablet I have given. So it came to pass, the angels of heaven inspired the Ihins to make tablets and to read them, that the first language of the earth, panic, might be preserved to the races of men, and it was so. Now the Ihins partly obeyed the Lord and partly obeyed the way of the flesh, and they became warriors and destroyers. Nevertheless, they harmed not the Ihins, nor suffered harm to come upon them. God commanded the Ihins to make eunuchs of the yaks, the monstrosities, and use them as servants, for the Lord saw that the yaks were not capable of everlasting life in heaven. Now the Ihins also served the yaks in the same way, but they disobeyed God in afflicting the neutral gender on their enemies, whom they captured in war. And although they were themselves half-breeds with the droogs, yet they hated the droogs and pursued them with vengeance. In those days, the relative proportion of the races of men were Ihins, 100, Ihuns 300, Drooks 5,000, Yaks 5,000, and of monstrosities betwixt man and beast 3,000. But the later died each generation, for they had not the power of procreation amongst themselves. And God saw the work of destruction going on of the Ihuns, slaughtering right and left, and he sent the Ihuns to preach amongst them, saying to the Ihuns, thus say ye to the Ihuns, whoever so is created alive, kill not, for it is the commandment of the Lord. For in time of your most successful in slaughtering your fearful man, ye are also peopling heaven with the spirits of vengeance, and they will return upon you, and even the Ihuns shall turn upon one another, thus saith God. But the Ihuns understood not, believed not, and it came to pass the great darkness covered the earth, and man save the few Ihuns gave up to the wickedness of his days. And the Lord people worshipped and preached in the temples, and the Lord of his heavenly hosts manifested on them. But all the other races of men heard not, would not come to learn of God. And the Lord became tired in his labor, and he called his angels to him. He said unto them, behold, man on the earth have gone so far from my way, he will not heed my commandments, he cannot hear my voice. And your labor is in vain also, for which reason we will tarry no longer on the earth till man hath exhausted the evil that is within him. So the Lord and his angels' hosts departed away from the earth, and the clouds came over the face of the earth. The moon shone not, and the sun was only as red coal of fire, and the stars stood in the firmament as well in the day and as the night. The harvests failed, the trees yielded no nuts, and the roots on which man feedeth ceased to grow. And the monstrosities and the yaks and the drooks died off, tens of millions of them. And even yet they were not extinct. Nevertheless, the Ihuns suffered less, and the Ihuns not at all, for the Lord had previously inspired them to provide against the coming famine. Guys, there's a reason why Spirit told me to read this today. Hi, what are we going through right now? And the Lord bewailed the earth and the generations of man. I made man upright and walked by his side, but he slipped aside and fell, said the Lord. I admonished him, but he would not heed. I showed him that every living creature brought forth its own kind, but he understood not, believed not, and he dwelt with beasts, falling lower than all the rest. I'm going to read this little thing underneath. This factual description is not a reference to the current races of man. Both Ihuns and Drooks are extinct. All current races, whether Asian, European, African, Native American, etc., are descended from the Ihuns and Ghanans. The first race of Ihuns were copper-colored. By modern descendants of Ihuns and Ghanes are expressed in all the complexions of humanity. The reference to the Drook race should not be confused with the general use of the term, in which the word Drook refers to the person who is very low in spiritual grade, regardless of race. There are also references indicating that some branches of the Ihuns were of varied complexion. For example, the Lord's Fifth Book, Chapter 3, Volume 4, notes that the Ihuns of Ham varied in complexion. See Lineage of Humanity, the plate at the end of the glossary. Because we all are one. Okay, now, synopsis of 16 cycles. being 48,000 years and also including the subcycle of 1,000 years of darkness, covering a period from the creation of man down to the submersion of the continent of Pan, called by the ancients the flood or deluge, which was 24,000 years BK, selected from the records in the libraries of heaven. Sorry, that was my placeholder. First, the earth pileth in a circuit around the sun, which circuit is divided into 4 arcs called spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Second, the sun was his family, pileth in a large circuit, which is divided into 1,006 squared 100 arcs, the distance of which for each arc is about 3,000 years or 1 cycle. During a cycle, the earth and her heavens fall in the Etherian regions of heaven, of hundreds of Etherian worlds, where dwell Jehovah's high-rised angels, whose chiefs have to do with the manage of the worlds. During the time of a cycle, the earth is therefore under the control and management of such of Jehovah's angels for the resurrection of man of the earth. At the time of the creation of man, the earth was traveling in the arc of Wan, where dwelt thousands of Orion chiefs, with thousands of millions of high-rised angels. The holy council of Orion chiefs, through the wisdom and the voice of Jehovah, appointed one of their number, Sethians, to take charge of the earth and to people it with immortal beings during his travel in Wan. The rank and title of Sethians, thus raised up by the Jehovah, creator of worlds, was first God of the earth and her heavens. And the Sethians came with millions of angels who had been raised up from another worlds previously, and he accomplished his work and was known as God. Sethians was then the first God of the earth and her heavens, and his place was within the ark of Wan. And during his cycle of 3,000 years, he raised up from the earth 4,400 million brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. After Sethians came a song, subchief in the realms of Heru, we, in the Hyan arc of Vehetavi. And during the cycle of Anachron, also 3,000 years, Ashong raised up from the earth a harvest of 7,200 million brides and bridegrooms. The cycle was under the dominion of Ho Li, surveyor of Kakinyasta, in the ark of Galimi, and his harvest was 3,700 million. Okay, guys, there's going to be a lot of names, and I'm going to mispronounce and butcher, so I do apologize. Always with this book. The 4th cycle was under Si-Pe Aban, chieftainess of Suglowerion, in the ark of Yan, and her harvest was 4,800 million. The 5th cycle was under Pathodices, roadmaker in Shitavia, in the ark of Yaomitsk, and his harvest was 6,400 million. Oh my. Whew. It's getting worse, guys. The 6th cycle was under Go-Magok, god of Izk, the ark of Wathga, and his harvest was 7,900 million. The 7th cycle was under Go-Epens, god of Chaim, in the ark of Servat, and his harvest was 9,300 million. The 8th cycle was under Hisix, goddess of Rots, in the ark of Hoam Agalak, and her harvest was 9,400 million. The 9th cycle was under C. Ixicius, inspector of roads in Karmata, in the ark of just saying. Seriously, just yin. Just saying. And his harvest was 10,100 million. The 10th cycle was under Miskalavati, chiefness of the arches of Lazubak, in the ark of Nu, and her harvest was 10,800 million. And now the earth was full of people. All the continents and islands of the earth were inhabited by man, nor was there left any wilderness wherein man did not dwell. The generation of man had fallen from 33 years down to 12 years, and man and women were all maturity at 7 years old. And not many lived above 30 years, but they were prolific, many of the mothers bringing forth 80 sons and daughters, and from 2 to 4 at a birth. Sorry guys, I have cats and I get hair in my mouth constantly. And man dwelt in peace, and the earth was tilled and brought forth abundantly of everything that was good for men to eat and to clothe himself. And there were in those days great cities of hundreds of thousands of inhabitants, thousands and thousands of each cities, and in all the 5 great divisions of the earth. And men built ships and sailed over the ocean in all directions, around about the whole world. By the angels of the Lord was he taught and guided in all things. And man had books, both written and printed, and the young were taught in schools, a knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, and of all things that are upon the earth and in the waters thereof. This was therefore called the first period of civilization on earth. Now, for the most part, all the people had become hens, small, white, and yellow. Nevertheless, there were ground people with long arms who were larger, but they dwelt by themselves. And their food was of the manner of flesh and fish and creeping things. The ground people were brown and black, and they lived to be 200 and even 400 years old. Jehovah said in the early days, I raised up humans, and I gave them certain commandments, amongst which was not to cohabit with the droogs, lest they go down in the darkness. But they obeyed not my words, and lo and behold, they are lost from the face of the earth. Because the hens had become a spiritual people and have prospered in peace and spirit, behold, they have degenerated in the corporal body. They yielded abundant harvest for my Etherian realms, but they are like untimely birds. Now will I bring the earth into Jahian fields and forests for a long season, for I shall again reproduce the humans, and the time of the generation shall be 33 years. For my harvest shall be of the fruit that is mature and full of ripeness. And Jehovah brought the earth into new regions in the Etherian worlds and covered it over with Jai, east and west and north and south. And it came to pass that many of the hens lost a degenerative desire, so brought not forth many heirs. But the brown people burnt with desires, and they laid hold of the hen women when they went into the fields and forced them, and thus brought forth again the human race, the copper-colored, strong, bright, and quick. Accordingly, the 11th cycle, which was under Golbath, god of Trigungthanga, in the ark of Suli, brought forth a harvest of 6,700 million. This 12th cycle was under Phaeus, the goddess of Luga, in the Arcasinian. Her harvest was 2,600 million. The 13th cycle was under Zen Ethries, keeper of the Kes, in the ark of Olgonmaya. and her harvest was 1,200 million. The 14th cycle was under Tothsentka, roadmaker in Hapa Nagas, in the Ark of Manchu, and his harvest was only 600 million. The 15th cycle was under Nimias, god of those go the Manchuas, in the Ark of Sigia, and his harvest was only 40 million. The 16th cycle was under Neph, god of Sangforganas, in the Ark of Arborak, but he failed to bring forth any harvest. God, that is not Niph, said, hear my prayer, O Jehovah. The earth and her heavens are gone down in darkness. The Aihin have been despoiled on all the divisions of the earth, save Waga. More than 30,000 million angels are gathered on the surface of the earth, and they are too low in grade to be delivered. What shall thy God do, O Father? I'm going to put a pause there. I've been noticing this in Urantia and the Law of One, that people have grades, spiritual grades. So when they say, and it goes on into this book too, way later, and I read it in the Book of Wars, you have to get above a certain grade to ascend. So I just want to put that in perspective. Mortals are descending in breed and blood, and only as diseased vermin do they inhabit the earth. Their cities are destroyed, and they dwell after the manner of four-footed beasts. The inspiration of thy God and his angels can no longer reach them. When they die and enter these heavens, they are as festering sores on one another, thousands of millions of them. For thee 1,000 years have I labored with them, but the abundance of their darkness outmatched thy God. What shall I do with them, O Father? How shall thy God deliver so great a carcass of death? But Jehovah answered not the prayer of God, left him to consult with other gods in the higher heavens, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. But in Etheria, Jehovah spake to his Orion chiefs, saying, as I try mortals, so do I try angels, so I try them, so do I try my gods. Forever and forever do I keep before them the testimony of an all higher. Now it came to pass on earth that the time of a generation of mortals had risen from 12 years to 8 years, and there were many who lived to be 300 years old, and they had become very large, twice the size of men of this day, but they were without judgment and of little sense. Hardly knew they their own species, and they mingled together, relatives as well as others. So the idosity and disease were with the general fate of the tribes of men, and they were large and strong, prolific. This then that followeth is the grade of dissension in the heavens of the earth. That is after Kishlon had changed the period of generation from 12 years into the upper grades, to wit, Abner, 7th dawn of Dan, enduring 3,200 years in Hasaph, Etherian Ag, 7 Hotan, grade 99. Esseni, gods of Marseph, Etheria, Dan of Gem, enduring 3,000 years, grade 93. Boaz, god of Ham, Orion Field, Dan of Josh, enduring 2,700 years, grade 88. The Avi, goddess of Wauitski, in Ag, 36 Dan of Ruth, enduring 2,900 years, grade 82. Leamis, goddess of the war in Baroque, Dan 40, Orion Field, Semites, enduring 3,000 years, grade 77. Divyas, god of Hut in Hadbak, Jaya, 22 Nef, enduring 3,100 years, grade 69. Rai Yisi, goddess of Tamak, bent on one Hud du Uts, enduring 3,070 years, grade 61. Ji, chief of Orion Field, Lud in Gu, Dan, 74, enduring 2,600 years, grade 58. Gol Yavik, chiefess Orion Field, Ob Lo in Jaya, 40, enduring 3,400 years, grade 51. From this time onward, there were found no grade in the roadway of the solar phalanx, great serpent, sufficiently dense for the angels of the heavens of the earth. A time of 1,000 years of darkness. Jehovah moved upon the Etherian worlds in the wide regions where traveleth the great serpent. His voice went forth, and amongst the counselors, the high ruling chieftains of the exalted kingdoms in the firmament, he spoke, saying, Hear me, O ye chieftains. Be ye far-seeing in my traveling worlds, and alert to my words. Behold, the red star, the earth, hath obtained her maturity, but she is rank. As a daughter cometh forth in the prime of her life, so standeth the young earth in her glory. For 50,000 years hath she played her part as an ornament of heaven and a harvester of bright souls for my exalted regions in the firmament. Gather together, O ye Orion chiefs, and ye Etherian goddesses, and ye that dwell in the roadway of the great serpent. Call ye a council of my everlasting rulers of worlds, and of them that plant my Jahayan gardens and my Jahayan fields, and of them that whirl my nebulous vortices in the firmament. The voice of Jehovah extended across the wide universe, and those who were high-rised in the management of the worlds heard and comprehended. And there assembled in the Etherian gardens of Senya, near the roadway of the solar phalanx, millions of Jehovah's highest, and the place was as a park larger than 100 times the earth. Round about on every side lie the crystalline borders of Etherian worlds. And when they were assembled, Jehovah spake out of the light inherent, saying, 16 times have my Etherian hosts redeemed the earth and her heavens from darkness into light. And yet ye err, the end of a cycle she falleth again, and her atmosphere with her. And now it hath come to pass that her heavens are filled with thousands of millions of spirits that know not me and my emancipated worlds. Speak ye, gods and goddesses. Thereupon Sutlo said, O Jehovah, I have learned, I have been holden. Too prolific is the earth, the young daughter of heaven. Too prolific is the red star of the firmament. Next spake Kawaya, saying, Thou hast spoken, O Jehovah, too prolific is the rich earth, O Father. Her mortals are overpowered by her atmospherian hosts. Her people build up cities and nations for a season after dawn, but soon they are overflooded by fetals and drujas, and the mortals devour one another as beasts of prey. Shi Zhang said, Her people have tilled all the soil of the earth and covered it over with cities, but where are they? Her people have been learned in the matters of heaven and earth, but their knowledge is dissipated by the dread hand of war. Du Ita said her people became wise in a day, but on the next they were fools. One generation becomes skilled in the books and in knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, and in the mathematics of corporeal things. But a generation followeth, and lo, her people are cannibals again. Guazin said, I heard, O Jehovah. I have witnessed, O Father. The red star is too prolific. She is like a garden too rich. Her products are overgrown, and they fall down and doubly enrich the soil again to reproduce reproduce an imperfect giant stock that is barren. So are her sons and daughters. They run all to earth's substances. Lo Wen said, Great Spirit, I have heard, I have seen. We gather the earth's harvest for thee, O Jehovah, but they are small. We gathered the earth's harvest of dark spirits, O Jehovah, and they are 10 times larger. Behold, there is no balance between them. Thus speak the gods and goddesses till thousands of them had spoken after the voice of Jehovah spake, saying, Ye are blessed, my sons and daughters. How can ye bequeath the administration of the earth and her heaven to the earth-born, till she is made suitable as a gift from my hand? Now hear me, O my sons and daughters. 5 great divisions of the earth have I made, and they have all been inhabited over and tilled by mortals. Yeah, on all the divisions of the earth have they been great cities and nations, and men and women of great learning. And as often as they are raised up in light, so they are again cast down in darkness, because of the great desire of the spirits of the dead to return back to the earth. These Drudras remain to mortals and fasten upon them as fetals or as familiars, and inspire them to evil. Go now to the earth, O my beloved, and find the division of the earth where most these Drudras congregate, for I will uproot their stronghold. I will break them from their haunts, and they shall no longer carry my people down to destruction. And now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the records of the earth and her atmosphere to be examined. And they discovered that the heaven of the land of Waga Pan was beyond redemption because of the great numbers of the spirits of the cannibals and of the multitude of fetals. It was as if a disease in the flesh be healed over externally, leaving the root of the disease within. So was Waga and her heaven. The redemption of the cycles remained not with her, but evil broke out forever in a new way. So Jehovah said, Now will I prune the earth and her heaven. Behold, the division of Waga shall be hewn off and cast beneath the waters of the earth. Her heaven shall no longer tenable by the spirits of the destruction, for I will render the foundation thereof, scattered them in the winds of heaven. Go ye therefore down to the earth, and provide nets and bunches for receiving the spirits of darkness, and for receiving the spirits of mortals who shall perish in the waters, and provide ye a place in my exalted heavens suitable for them, and ye shall wall them about in heaven, that they cannot escape, but that they may be weaned from evil. And when ye are come to the earth and its heavens, acquaint my God, my lords, with my decree, and say to them, Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, behold, I will sink the land of Waga beneath the waters of the ocean, and her heaven will I carry away to a place in my firmament, where she shall no longer engulf my people in darkness. And Jehovah saith, Go thou, O God of heaven, and thou, O Lord of Waga, down to my chosen, the Ihins, and say to them, Thus saith the great Spirit, Behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen, and heed my commandments. Fall to all hands and build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on mountains, and let my faithful gather together within the ships, for my hand is surely stretched over the earth. And ye shall also proclaim unto the earth and her heaven, that from the first, even in the ancient days, I proclaimed my 3 worlds unto all people, which are my corporal worlds and the lower heavens that belong thereto, and my Etherian heavens which are in the firmament above. And I said, the first glory is of earth, whereupon is paradise, where man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirit of the dead. But I bound the lower heaven to the earth, that it might travel wherein that the communion of the dead with the living might add a glory unto both. But the upper heaven I made the highest of all glories, and I filled the Etherian firmament with countless worlds of their kind for the dwelling places of those that rose in the third resurrection. And I sent from the exalted heavens down to the lower heavens, and to the earth also my holy angels, over whom I appointed gods and lords in the majesty of my dominions. And they came proclaiming these things in my name, teaching both mortals and spirits how to live, that they might rise and inherit my illuminated words. And because man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, Lush, who were Etherian of great wisdom, to abide with mortals and inspire such marriages as would best promote spiritual growth from the start. And there came forth amongst all people certain ones capable of Sargris and Suis, and they heeded the commandments of my gods and lords, forsaking evil and striving to serve the spirit, choosing me above all things. Wherefore I chose them also, and called them my hens. For as much as they commenced putting away self and serving me, whilst they were yet in Kippur, so were they not born in the spirit world before their full time. And even so are others not of full birth, who have not in the corporeal form begun to triumph in spirit over their own flesh. Jehovah said, go forth, all my sons and daughters, and prune my vineyard. Beseech my God of the earth and his lords with him together, to gather together all the angels of the earth from east to west and from north to south to the land of Waga, bring them. My Etherian ships of fire shall surround Waga on every side, and I will cut loose the foundations of the earth at the borders of the ocean and the mountains of Gan, nor shall any prop or cornerstone stay my hand. And I will send rains and winds and thundering, and the waters of the great deep shall come upon the lands, and the great cities shall go down and be swallowed in the earth. And the rich valleys of Maui, with her 1,000 cities, shall be rent with the madness of men and women fleeing before the waters of the ocean. And women and children shall fall by the way and be drowned, and men shall go down in the water and rise not. And the wide plains of Og, with her 1,000 cities, and with the great capital of Penji, and the temples of Ku and Bart and Gan and Seeing, shall sink to rise no more. And in the deluge, the air of heaven shall be filled with the screaming and wailing of millions of mortals going down to destruction. I will rescue them from darkness. I will carry them to giant regions, which I previously created for spirits of darkness, and I will appoint over them gods and goddesses to teach them of me and my kingdoms. And the earth and her heaven shall take a new start amongst my habitable worlds. Thus have I provided labor for my high-rised angels in the places I created, said Jehovah. The end of the synopsis of 16 cycles. Woo! Interesting. Oh, this is hard. That's a diagram. It's Etheria, periphery of the Earth's vortex. This line was called from the ancients, the bridge of Shinbat, all within the area of atmospheria. The center is the Earth, the circle, the ocean. 1, 2, and 3 represents atmospheria plateau. The circle, circle, circle with a line through it represents atmospheria oceans. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you can see that. So there might be something to that map Jason showed us. So I hope you guys enjoyed these two sections, although not as big. I have to jump around to see where else I want to read from for the next time. It's a lot. It's a lot of good stuff in here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of things that we can look upon is what's going to happen, and not to be frightful or scared, because our cycle is ending and we are moving to another plane of existence. From my reading yesterday, my higher self and my astral body are creating that plane, or have already created that plane, and now I'm linking to it. So I and a few other people around this planet formed this new plane of existence that we will be inhabiting. And whether it be outside of the ice wall, whether it be out and over into another plane, that's where we're going. And it's whatever it happens to be, do not get fearful, because I myself would not want to manifest or go through something that's going to put me into a worse hell. I'm done. Like I said, I've lived a hell of a lot. I'm simultaneously living in another existence right now. And I was getting feelings from that. I have another me, or I don't think it's me in exact form, but it's a version of me running around somewhere else, not in this local universe, somewhere else. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But I know that one of my jobs is to help manifest what I already know I created. So I'm going to try my hardest, guys, because I want out of here now. Not to say that I don't appreciate the wisdom and the learning that we all have to go through, but I'm tired. I'm at crossroads where I don't want to be. I don't want to have to keep continuing to think how I'm going to eat each and every day, how I'm going to take care of my animals each and every day. My 2 kitty cats, my co-host is sleeping all in her little clumped self. You know, I hope with the healing that I received yesterday, and I have been feeling better for sure, but just knowing that I'm going through this, and I'm not alone in this. Blue state patriots are being very much forgotten about. And, you know, I put out the signs for help, but, you know, I was told yesterday, it's like walking amongst yourself. You're like the embodiment of many people who are wise that have to be isolated out of society because people think you're fucking crazy. So here I am. Hey, hi. So I hope you enjoyed the section of Oahspe. If you have it within you to help me out, A love donation is very appreciated at this time. I have to wait to find where to move because that information will definitely come to me when the time is appropriate. So I'm waiting. And yesterday after my reading, I didn't do an episode or anything because I was sitting in meditation for most part of the day until my favorite Jason came on and stole a show. I sat in a lot of meditation and I was just envisioning where my other self is and where this other plane of existence is and how can I obtain it for all of us, not just for me. This is for everybody. And I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I have to give it time because when you do a healing like that, it's not instant. It takes time. So I'll be doing that, but I wanted to get Oahspe in. Jason spoke about a hell of a lot of it today. And I feel that it was time to get back to it because I took a mini break from the Book of Wars. That was really long. And I'll let you guys know which section I'll read next. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I'll figure it out which one Spirit wants me to read next. But I hope you enjoyed those two sections. Please don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. This is really not for me. This is for everybody to learn from, to get a perspective on. It's a perspective. So you don't necessarily need to believe in anything that was said. It's just an outside of your box perspective. I'll always take that into account. Okay, that's with everything that I read. Nothing is ever set in stone because everything keeps changing. Timelines. Yay. So until the next one, guys, sending each and every one of you love and light. Bye.